Welcome to the Market Outlook. My name is Ike the Greatest, and on this channel what we're going to be doing is we're going to be bringing you market updates, chart breakdowns and things to look out for when it comes to the Forex market, crypto market, commodity market, stock market, whatever. So make sure you stay tuned every week because you're going to be getting this kind of content. All right, so let's just jump right into the analysis for the day. It's currently 11th of January, that is Wednesday, and it's a big day because we have CPI coming in. And for those of you who know CPI is actually a consumer price index, which is a high impact news. And whenever we have this kind of news, there is a high volatility in the market. So we're going to look at the market, especially on the dollar pairs. All right, so we're going to look at DXY, Euro USD, gold, GBP USD, and the US oil. So let's jump into the chart. All right, so we're going to do a top-down analysis. What that means is we're going to look at the market from the highest time frame down to the lower time frame so that we are able to see the perspective of the market on various time frames. All right, so on the Euro USD, we're going to start on the weekly time frame, that is a higher time frame. So right here we can currently see that we have price just pushing to the upside. Right, looking at this, we had market creating a high, a low. We were just ranging within the zone. We broke to the downside, and currently we have price just sweeping these highs to the upside. All right, but looking to our left, I just want to see where we are trading at. Are we trading at a key level? A key level could be a support or resistance level, supply or demand zone, or whatever. Right, so looking to my left, this is what I can see. That we are ranging in this major key level. Let me just make it small right here. So key levels can be identified by the number of touches that the market has respected that area. Right, so if you look right here, we respected this area as a resistance, support. Whenever we are below that level, the market drops. Whenever we are above it, we have price pushing to the upside. Right, so look at this, we're below this level, we had a drop, and that is currently where we are. So we need to also be on the outlook of what we can expect in that range. So let's just zoom in and take a look at the candlestick reactions at that level. So if you look at this reaction right here on the weekly time frame, price tried breaking that level, but it failed. So you can see this wick, which indicates rejection. Right, so this is actually a level that price is finding difficult to break. So are we going to expect, or are we going to see the market breaking these levels to the upside, or we're going to get a reversal? Right, that is what we have to decode right now. One thing that you need to understand when it comes to key levels are support and resistance are everywhere. Demand, supply zone, these levels it can be drawn. Even when you close your eyes, you can just draw random levels on the market. But the most important thing that you want to focus on is what price is doing within that range. Right, so if you have a resistance, what price is doing there, the market structure, candlesticks that are printing in that ranges is what you want to focus on. So let's go to the daily time frame. Right here we can see how the market is moving very correctively towards that level. When I say corrective, we have price moving in two directions. We have the impulsive phase, we have the correction phase. Right, there's the impulse, price can move correctively like that as well. Right, so if you look at this region right here, this zone, this move to the upside, this was very impulsive. Right, we had a correction to the downside, we had an impulsive move to the upside. But looking at this move towards this level, price is very corrective, telling us that we have bias. We are still in a bias market, but the volume there cannot be compared to this kind of impulsive moves. Right, so this should tell us something that, hey, we could see price either dropping to the downside. Right, so let's focus on this region on the 4H time frame. What I can currently see is we have price ranging within the zone. We are currently in a range right here. Price has not really broken above or broken below that range. We were creating higher highs and higher lows from the left side, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. But after breaking this high to create a new higher high, we've not had any break below this level, and we've not had any break above this zone. Right, so this makes this consolidating market, or consolidation. We're in the consolidation right now, and mostly whenever we are in a consolidation, what you want to do is you want to wait for a breakout either to the upside or to the downside. But the fact that we have established this resistance level, we want to just be very careful when it comes to the buying opportunities that we can expect on this peg. All right, so let's first of all take a look at what we can expect when it comes to the downside or the selling side of the market. We can have our trend lines right here. right? And then what I can possibly see is the first top, the second top, we had a rejection right here, which means the price failed to break or close above this level. So this could be a double top pattern, which is also a reversal pattern in the market. When seen on an uptrend, indicates that the price is going to reverse to the downside, but it's only going to be a double bottom, or sorry, a double top when we break this neckline right here. Right, so I have this trend line. The trend line is just a guide guiding me that okay, this is the trend, but it doesn't mean that the very moment the trend line breaks, we're looking for selling opportunities, because a lot of times we can have a trend line break but the market structure is still in play, right? So right now, if our trend line gets broken right here, it doesn't really mean market structure has been broken, because as it stands, this is still the low that is being protected, right? So for selling opportunities, the ideal trade is where you wait for at least this previous low to be broken. All right, so what we will be looking at on this pair is waiting for a break and possibly a retest of this level. That is when we can actually get in for selling opportunities, to the downside. All right, so that is on Euro USD. For the buying opportunities, I'm not really up for the buying opportunities, as I said, since we are below this structure. But going forward, if we get a massive break right here, then this is where we can actually wait for pullbacks and then continue with this trend after trading around or trading above this resistance level. All right, with gold, we're also going to do a top-down analysis. The story of gold comes down to the weekly time frame. All right, so if you look at the weekly time frame right here, one thing that you need to understand when it comes to the market is the language of the candlesticks, right? The language of the market is literally the candlestick. So you need to understand what each candlestick means and the break of each candlestick, right? So what do I mean by the break? Break or structure of the candlestick is whereby we have, this is the candlestick body, this is the wick, this is a high, this is the low. For a break of structure on the candlestick, we want to see a full candle break right here, right? So you can see the body has to close above the wick right here. This is what we can call a break of structure on the candlesticks. So if we have the body closing below right here with the wick piercing through, this is not a break, this is just a rejection right here. So we want a full break, a full candle close above this level. That is when we can term this as a break of structure. So looking at this on the weekly time frame, let's focus on this candlestick, right? We had a break right here, we closed above this candle, we created a new candlestick right here. After we created this candle, let me just put my highs right here. Just look at this with me. Can you see any break above this level? No, right? This was just a wick, which means price tried breaking above. We traded around the zone, but we didn't close above it, right? So this was just a rejection. Price tried again, rejected below, right? This also tried, rejected below. So we've not really had any break above this level, which makes this level a key level. This is a strong resistance level in the market. This is also our low price on gold on the weekly time frame. So we are currently in a range when it comes to the weekly time frame on gold. So we're gonna go down lower time frame. Since we are trading below these levels, we want to see what the market structure is looking like below these levels. All right, so down to the daily time frame, you can see this level has been respected as a strong resistance level, resistance and support, right? Price has been reacting below these levels as well. Going down to the 4H time frame, it's even better right here, because here we can see major pullbacks below that level. This was a resistance here, we had a resistance right here, right? This was also a resistance. So it makes this level a very strong level. Whenever we are below that level, we'll not be looking for selling opportunities. When we are above it, looking for buying opportunities. All right, so going down to the 1H, this is where the story becomes clear right here. All right, so if you look to my left, whenever we break above that level, there is something that happens that causes price to just drop to the downside, right? Because the weekly time frame has not really closed above that level. So if you look at this on the weekly, yes, we had a rejection, right? It's gonna be a wick on the weekly, but on the 1H you can see we had a reversal pattern above that level, which just tells us that okay, the weekly is not gonna close above this major resistance level. So we had head and shoulder, break of the neckline, retest, and then price drop, right? The same thing, we had the same thing right here. This was also a rejection. Price just started breaking structures and then we short to the downside, right? The same thing happened right here. If you look at this major current structure, we have this double top structure, right? So this is the first top, this is the second top, and this is also a reversal structure. We had a break of the neckline, price has dropped, right? So this tells us that, okay, indeed we are not 100% sure of what the market is going to do, but just by seeing this structure above this level tells us that we're not going to close above this zone, right? So what I can currently see is we have a break of this structure, we have a strong impulse, we have price moving very correctly to the left side or to the right side. This is actually also a pattern in the market. When seen, indicates that price is going to drop, right? So we have an impulsive phase, we have a correction. We can also at least expect price to tap on these trend lines and then possibly just drop to the downside if that's going to be the case. And looking to my left, if this is our first top, second top, we have our neckline zone right here. This could also be a break and retest of the neckline. All right, so currently we are just trading, below this level. So for selling opportunities, we just want to be very patient on the lower time frames, wait for market structure to shift, right? We are currently creating higher highs and higher lows, wait for at least a shift of the structure so that we can actually get in for selling opportunities, and then this will be a very super nice entry to the downside. All right, so this is what I'm looking at on gold as well when it comes to today's CPI. It's not really about the CPI, this is just our analysis for the week. So yeah, okay, so this is GBP USD on the weekly time frame. Looking to my left, I just want to see, are we trading at an area of value? And this is what we're able to see right here, right? So price is currently trading at a level that has been respected, right? So this was a very strong level of support, right? Strong level of support on the weekly time frame. Right here we have also a strong level of resistance, right? A resistance, we bounced on this support, the resistance, we had a major drop. That is where we are trading at as well, right? So are we gonna see a break above, or we're gonna get a drop? If you take a look at the structure on the weekly, we are actually creating higher highs and higher lows. This was a higher high, higher low, higher highs and higher low structure. So we are currently on an uptrend, yes, but we are approaching a key level, that is a resistance level. We want to see what the market is looking like around that zone, right? It doesn't mean the fact that we are at a resistance we need to sell, no, right? This is just an area where we have to focus on what price is doing in that region. All right, so we're gonna take a look at this zone on the lower time frames as well. So let's go to the daily time frame. So the daily time frame, yes, we were creating higher highs and higher lows. We had a break of structure right here, break of structure. But when we got into that zone, yes, price gave us a high right here. We had a pullback, but we didn't get a close, right, of this previous high. As I said, a candlestick closes when we have the candlestick just fully closing above this zone. Right here you can see there's a wick above this, so this is not actually a break of structure, right? So within or below this zone we are having this structure. And if I go on the 4H time frame, you can see price got there correctively, right? This is a very corrective structure in the market. As I was saying, we have the impulsive phase, these are the impulsive phases, and we have the correction phases. Whenever price is moving towards a key level correctively, this could be a sign of exhaustion of the buyers, right? And also an onset of the sellers coming into the market. So right here we had this high, price didn't move impulsively to break that high, we got there correctively, and then when we tapped on that level, you can see we had the structure shifting from bullish to bearish, right? So we're creating higher highs and higher lows, higher high, higher low, higher high, and then we broke this low, which means that we have a shift or change of the structure. So this is a lower low, price pulled back, and then we have a drop right now. So we are currently trading lower lows and lower highs on this time frame. So what we can expect is at least this is the 90% rule, something that we talk about in this community, right? We are expecting price to at least tap on this level to complete the market cycle. All right, and when it does, this becomes a key level as well. We want to see how price will approach this level. Are we going to get there correctively? Are we going to get there impulsively? If we break this massively, then it means that on the daily time frame, we have a double top right here. Because mind you, I just made mention of the fact that a double top is when we have the neckline being broken, right? So as it stands, you cannot call this a double top, even though you are seeing the first top, second top, but the neckline is not being broken, which means that the structure is still in play. We can get price tapping on this level and then pushing to the upside. There's no double top. A double top is whereby we see a break of structure right here, and then we get, at least moves to the downside. So this is what we'll be looking at. But with GBP USD, yes, we could be seeing at least some moves, to the downside, at least to this level. And then when we get here, if price breaks, then we can continue selling. But if we get here very correctively, then we will see what the market will do. If we shift structures, then we can also get in for buying opportunities. But as it stands, yes, we are just in this range right here. But yeah, this is what we can just take for the day when it comes to this pair. Let's take a look at this last pair. This is US oil. On the weekly time frame, yes, we are very bearish. Price has been creating lower lows and lower highs. As I said, this is a key level because it acted as a support in the past, right? It doesn't mean that price has to react at that level, but we only focus on what the market is doing when we get to that level. So this is a support. What did price do when we got to that support, right? So we're gonna take a look at that. Even if I zoom in here on the weekly time frame, you can see that this weekly time frame, this candlestick tried breaking below this level. We couldn't, right? Price just came up, which means we have buyers refusing price to drop more, right? Price dropped all the way to this level, buyers came back up and then push price to the upside. So this is it. We came back down, and then as you can see, they came back in, and this time around they just shot the price to the upside. So right now what I'm seeing is this a possible double bottom structure. This is the neckline right here, and price is trying to break above that level. Let's take a look at this on the daily time frame, right? So it's very clear right here. We have the first bottom, we have the second bottom, we have the neckline right here. As I said, it is only a double top or a double bottom when the neckline gets broken. We have the neckline being broken. So let's also just add our trend lines. The trend line is really nothing, it's just a guide. What we want to focus on is the market structure, right? So here market structure has been broken to the upside, trend line has also been broken. This could be a move that we can expect price to create towards the upside, right? Even on the daily time frame, we are having higher highs and higher lows. Price has been breaking highs, pull back, even though we consolidated here for the longest, but you can see the price has currently broken above impulsively, right? So this could be a move that we can also expect on US oil, right? At least a push to the upside. Yeah, so when it comes to double tops and double bottoms, when you get an entry, when you see a double top or a double bottom, what you want to do is you want to measure from the bottom to the neckline, and then you bring it at the breakouts, right? So at least this is where you're expecting price to get to. It doesn't mean for sure price has to get there, but this just gives you an idea of the range in which you are trading within. This is just a brief market breakdown on gold, on Euro USD, on GBP USD, on these few pairs that we've looked at. Make sure you subscribe, like this video, because we're gonna be dropping these kind of videos just to help you stay updated and also guided when it comes to the financial market. All right, it's Ike the Greatest here. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.